Hello, everybody. I pray that all is well with you and your families. Want to say happy, what's today? Tuesday, huh? Happy Tuesday to you. I am sitting here at Providence Church. My name is Pastor A.L. Cobbs Jr. And welcome to our little short, I call it blog, on health, mental health, and physical health, financial health. So it is my desire as a pastor to make sure that the church is not just spiritual healthy, but also physical healthy and mentally healthy and financially healthy. And so as we are embarking upon 2025 and the way we do ministry, we want to make sure that we are equipping the saints in all areas that they can have a healthy spiritual and physical life. And today, to my left, I am so blessed to have my women's ministry of women's overseer, Sister Eula Lewis. She's also a deaconess here at the church. She has been practically my right hand since COVID, making sure that the things are getting done. And we're just so glad that you took the time and accepted my invitation, as I want to ask some questions in regards to smoking. As being a pastor, I'm constantly asked this question: how can I, what can I do to stop? Why God won't take this taste from my mouth and things of that sort. And many of the prayers of the saints have been to stop smoking. And I never smoked, so I don't understand the drawing to it. Sister Eula, can you just tell us your background? First of all, just introduce yourself. You can just introduce yourself.
All right. So I am Sister Eula, and I am a member here at Providence Baptist Church. I've been here since I was 6 years old. I'm now 67. As far as my work background is concerned, I retired twice. I retired in June of 2020. They brought me back for 6 months to train the person that was hired into my position. I worked an additional 6 months, and then I retired again in January of 2021. So during my career, and it was actually a second career because I was in the banking industry before.
Okay.
I worked at San Francisco General Hospital as a registered respiratory therapist. I worked there for 25 years.
Wow.
The first half of my career, I did bedside. And at San Francisco General, the respiratory therapists only work in the intensive care units. And so in the intensive care unit, we basically took care of the life support, the ventilators, and working with the nurses and with the doctors. So it was very intense in an intensive care unit. And we also worked in the NICU with the babies, because premature babies would get intubated, and we would monitor the ventilator for those children also. So that was the first half of my career. Then I was favored enough, and I say favored because they could have picked any respiratory therapist, but I was chosen to be the first therapist to work in the clinic. Wow. And so I was brought in to work in our chest clinic, and then I was elevated to supervise all of the respiratory therapists that worked in the clinic setting. And we worked in the chest clinic, we worked in the asthma COPD clinic, we worked in the allergy clinic, and the sleep clinic. Okay. And so I oversaw all of the therapists that worked in those clinics. And during my time working in those clinics, it was also important for me to get certified in certain areas. And so I became a certified asthma educator, and I also became a certified tobacco treatment specialist.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
So I went through an intense 5-day training at the Mayo Clinic, and many people are aware of the Mayo Clinic. And every other year I would have to recertify. So I would travel back to Rochester and to the Mayo Clinic to attend the conference and get my CEUs. And so that's how I call it my love of tobacco cessation started. Okay. Because once I learned the history of the tobacco industry and the African American community, I became an advocate for tobacco cessation, particularly against people of color.
I have a question. So many of my friends have smoke. and I guess the first question I would ask you, is smoking a habit? Because you often hear, I got to kick the habit, or I can't kick the habit. So from a clinical, is it a habit, or what's going on with it? Why is it so hard? Because I don't smoke. Why is it so hard for a person to stop smoking?
So I don't know where this whole concept of classifying it as a habit, where that started. But I do know that after the Surgeon General issued the warning against smoking, because we had more information about smoking and tobacco addiction, because it's not a habit. It is an addiction.
It's an addiction.
And it's an addiction to the nicotine. And you become addicted to the nicotine, not just through smoking cigarettes, but through snuff and chewing tobacco. All of that has nicotine in it. And through vaping. And we become, people that do it become addicted to the nicotine.
Okay.
You want to know kind of how
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm going to use just very basic terms, because a lot of times what I found is that when healthcare professionals kind of use all these technical terms, people don't get it. So when I would explain nicotine addiction to my patients, I would use the metaphor of a lock and a key. So on your brain, there's these receptors, which I call locks. When you smoke a cigarette and you inhale, the nicotine, along with all of those other toxic compounds, goes into the bloodstream. And then that nicotine gets into the brain and it unlocks those receptors. When it unlocks those receptors, it releases a flood of endorphins. And that's when you get that, when people smoke and they go, okay, I can deal with whatever I got to deal with now. And that's what happens in the brain with the nicotine addiction.
So that's that person that's at work and then the boss is acting crazy and they just say, I'll be back. And they go smoke their cigarette and they're calm. They don't have to go off on the boss. They kind of took a second wind. But it's the endorphins.
It's that nicotine that has released those endorphins that now allows you to be able to say, okay, now I can do whatever I need to do. So when people are in situations where they're stressed or situations where they're just whatever the mental state is, and they say, can I step away and go have a cigarette? I watch a lot of true crime, unfortunately, and I've seen a lot of times when they're interrogating the suspects, the suspects will say, "Can I step out to have a cigarette?" And that's what it is. And just like any addiction, when you don't smoke, and people that smoke realize this, if I don't smoke a cigarette for a few hours, then I start to get antsy. Because the brain is going, you need to feed me. And then they go out, they have a cigarette, and then they feel better.
So when it comes to smoking, and vaping is very popular, even smoking weed now is very, very popular, both in the church, out the church, in business. Everybody's vaping. I won't say everybody, just a lot of people are vaping, a lot of people are smoking weed, a lot of people are smoking cigarettes. You had shared something with me about menthol, because I remember I used to be a boy back in the 70s, and I used to go to the store and buy cigarettes for my dad. I know you can't do that now, but I would be, 7, 8 years old going to the store with a note and getting Cool's menthol cigarette. So what's up with the menthol? Is menthol like a flavor? Is it a because when I think of menthol, I think of a mint, that mint flavor that is in my cigarette, more like the flavors in vaping, that they have grape and they have all these other things. So I really don't understand the what did I just say,
with the menthol.
The menthol. So
Okay.
what is the menthol?
So when you think menthol and you think like peppermint or any other, you have this cooling effect.
Mm-hmm.
So the menthol cigarettes aren't as harsh when they're smoked. And so what it has been shown is that individuals that smoke menthol cigarettes, they take a longer drag, they inhale deeper, and they take a longer inhalation, which means that all of those toxins that are in the cigarettes get deeper into the lungs.
That mean they puffing that thing hard.
They're sucking on it hard, yeah, because there's that cooling effect. So when you think about menthol cigarettes, Newports, Cools.
Mm-hmm.
Who's smoking Newports and Cools?
Blacks.
So we are being targeted, the African American community is being targeted with menthol cigarettes. And the tobacco industry, they know that. They have a long history of manipulating cigarettes to make money.
Mm-hmm.
Virginia Slims, back in the day, I'm dating myself, but Virginia Slims back in the day targeted women. You'll lose weight if you smoke the Virginia Slims. And who was in the commercials? Thin women. They also use doctors in their ads because we put a lot of faith in doctors. They would show doctors smoking cigarettes and then we would smoke. But the menthol cigarettes are primarily targeted to people of color.
Mm-hmm.
You don't find, if you go to Danville, you're not going to find a lot of corner stores selling Cools and menthols.
One cigarette at a time.
Well, and
A
when
lot
you
of
say
places.
one cigarette at a time, I also want to say that there are some businesses that sell singles.
That's what I was talking about. Yeah.
And they're not supposed to. That's against the law to sell singles.
Mm-hmm.
And I shared with you before that I had a patient that was working to stop smoking. I had several sessions with him. He was being real successful. And he said when he came in, he had started back smoking. He said, I walked past this liquor store and I knew they sold singles. And I thought I could handle one cigarette.
Mm-hmm.
But all it took was that one cigarette for him to get back into, then it's 2 cigarettes, then it's 3 cigarettes, then it's a pack of cigarettes.
Mm-hmm.
So then you get back into that addiction cycle.
Wow.
But I want to add right there also that when it comes to stopping smoking, it's hard.
Mm-hmm.
It's not easy. And I shared with you that nicotine is as addictive as opiates, cocaine and heroin. We don't realize that because we figure, well, I can buy it at the store.
Right, right.
But it's addictive. And so it's hard to stop, and most people can't quit the first time out.
Mm-hmm.
I used to tell my patients, if you fall off the horse, get back on.
Right.
It takes multiple attempts, but there are steps that you can take in order to be able to be successful. Mother Benford shared with us that she used to smoke.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, I prayed and I asked God to take the taste out of my mouth and I was able to stop. But most people can't do it cold turkey.
Right.
And if you don't mind, I want to share my childhood friend, Charlotte.
Mm-hmm.
She stopped smoking. And October the 1st, she was 600 days tobacco free.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what she wrote to me. She told me. She said, I attempted quitting more than once, but couldn't do it. I kept praying, asking God to deliver me. After a while, I realized it was my mindset. As I shared with you, you have to want to. You have to want to quit. She said, after a while, I realized it was my mindset. Once I changed that and kept praying, and he did just what I had been asking for. I woke up one morning to go outside to smoke a cigarette, and the cigarette tastes like dirt. I kept trying to finish that pack, but I couldn't. I had already contacted my doctor for help, and she put me on a 3-step program, which I had failed before. But my mind was right. I finished it, and I haven't looked back. And today, I am now 634 days smoke-free.
Awesome. So, I know that they have the patch, Nicorettes, other things. Some things are over the counter. I saw in the drugstore, and there's things that are prescribed. A person that is desiring to quit, I mean really sincerely desiring to quit, and praying to God, because you said something that was important, that was impactful actually, that there are people that pray and God take the taste from them. I hope Leonard doesn't get mad. Leonard here, one of our members, and it wasn't until he had that face with death where he thought he had the heart attack that he quit. I don't know if he starts back, but I know that was scared him straight. And I do know that even my father, who was a 2 and 3 pack a day cigarette smoker, in his younger singing and preaching, more so in his singing gospel, it was more of a social thing than becomes a habit. Not a habit, but becomes addictive, and so it's no longer doing it to be cool, looking cool, but it is something that you gotta have. And so I guess the question I have is, how does one quit? You said mindset, so that's one thing. So my mind got to be set that I really want to do it. I hear testimonies all the time of people that was involved in strongholds, and the Lord delivered them. But you said this, it doesn't always happen that way for everybody, to where you can stop the day and don't look back. Some people stop, fall off the wagon, get back on, fall off, get back on. I mean, and you said that you got to keep trying. So until my mind is really desiring to push this thing, because I think we can do anything we set our mind to do, if that is our desire. I mean, if you want something bad enough, we'll do everything we can. We got to put it on layaway. We got to work 2 jobs. We do that, but we don't put a lot of effort in our health, especially dealing with the stress of life. And people are trying to find an outlet for stress, whether it is, some people is going to the gym. That's healthy. Some people is gambling. Some people smoke. Some people drink. It's all types. Some people eat. Some people shop. And so all of it puts us in, except for the gym, puts us in a precarious situation by which we're worse off than we were when we started, because even though we have a problem now, it's starting to affect our health. And our church is, as you are respiratory, you help many people who have, what do you call it?
COPD.
COPD. So we have many members with the oxygen tank. And that basically, I want to talk about that too, because we talk about triggers. Because even with the breathing situation, and I see people with that oxygen thing, put the thing over their head and smoke. I see, and then I don't understand it, but I mean, I have my own addiction, so I do understand that part, that there's some things that God just have to remove in my mind. Your mind has to be right. But when it comes to quitting this thing, what would you suggest? Because I know you've seen people come out with open heart surgery and go out on the roof and smoke. As soon as they get a chance, they try to get that. What could you do if what could you tell me if that was my stronghold? How could I get that path to where I can get the mindset to stop?
So the first thing, as we've said already, is that you have to make up in your mind that you want to quit. One of the things that I would tell my patients is to have a plan. And part of that plan that I would talk to them about was setting a quit date. Clearing out everything that has to do with smoking. Get rid of all the ashtrays, get rid of the lighter, get rid of the cigarettes. And I would tell them, don't just throw the cigarettes in the garbage can.
Yeah,
because when you want that cigarette, you're going to dig in that garbage can.
Yeah,
I tell them, wet it, tear it up, get rid of everything. And then, as far as assistance from a medical standpoint, they should talk to their doctor. There's nicotine replacement therapy, and that would be the patches, and that would be the gum. So the patch is kind of like, when I used to talk to patients that had COPD or asthma, I would relate it to their maintenance inhaler and their rescue inhaler. So the patch is like your maintenance. It gives you a little bit of nicotine to take the edge off. It's not giving you so much nicotine that you're not gonna feel anything. You're not gonna still have some cravings or whatever, but it gives you a little bit so that it'll take the edge off. The rescue would be the gum, because when you feel like I gotta have a cigarette, you can eat a piece of that gum. And it's important that you use the gum or the lozenges the correct way.
What is that?
So with the gum and the lozenges, with the gum you would chew and then park it between your cheek and your gum. So you're not supposed to chew it like you do chewing gum, because then it gets in your stomach and give you upset stomach. But the way that it's absorbed is through your gum. So you put a piece in, chew, park. When it's gonna kind of a little stinging, and then you get some nicotine, chew, park. So it's not meant to be chewed like regular gum.
Wow. Okay.
So nicotine replacement therapy. Also counseling. And it has been shown that if you do the nicotine replacement therapy and counseling, you're more likely to quit. And now it's so amazing, because now they don't have to come in to see someone to do counseling. You can do it over the phone. You can do it by text. You can do it on your computer, like live chat. So there's different ways that you can do the counseling now. But between those two things, it'll help you to be able to quit. And one of the things that my friend told me was that she joined a non-smokers group, like a support group.
How do you find them though?
You can find it on the internet. She said she found hers on Facebook.
Okay.
So you can find those groups, and then you have kind of this shared experience. One of the things that I remember so clearly that I was counseling a young woman, and she asked me, "Have you ever smoked?" And I said, "Well, I tried it, but I couldn't. I tried to smoke when I was a teenager, took a few puffs, got sick, and then that was it." But her reason for asking was because she didn't think I would be able to empathize with her. So while I may not be able to empathize to the point where I knew what it was like to be addicted to the nicotine and to cigarette smoking, I could empathize because I have a caring spirit, and I want to see you succeed. And so having a network that supports you, and again, going back to Charlotte, she said that she actually had to let go of some of her friends because they didn't support her on her journey.
Yeah, and I think that is a Christian walk too, because the Bible talks about if meat causes your brother to stumble, we're not supposed to eat it in front of him. And I think that's what, with just about all kind of substance abuse, where we have these strongholds that we decide to stop, but we still have the environment. So if I'm stopping smoking and my friend is with me, and I said I'm not going to smoke anymore, but yet they smoke, I mean, it's hard to resist if I'm trying to stop drinking and you're drinking. And I think that the friends that we need to be cognizant of understanding that when somebody has a stronghold, that we're not supposed to be loose enough, that we're supposed to be in that pit with them. We're supposed to be, suffering with them if they're our friend, to say, if you're not going to do it, I'm not going to do it in front of you because I don't want to tempt you.
Right.
And I think that is part of where the support is not, because we don't like to let go of our friends and our old environment. We like to go to the old neighborhood. We like to go to old places. And, people like to go to the casinos. People like to go to Vegas, where smoking, as soon as you in there, if you going in there and as soon as you hit, one of the hotels, everybody's smoking, that smell, it seemed like it would cause me want to go get a cigarette too, because I mean, not personally, but if I was fighting that, it's just like this. I'm a cake guy, and you tell me don't eat cake, but you eating it in front of me. That's not cool.
Right.
So I think that environment and also where you said getting rid of the lighter, getting rid of all that stuff that you have, the crumbs in your purse, and
and just clean out your car,
clean
because
it
even
out.
the car smells like smoke. Your house
Yeah.
smells like smoke. Your
Yeah.
hair smells like smoke.
Yeah.
So it's doing that preparation first. And when I say set a quit date, it's on this is going to be the day that I'm going to quit. So I've gone to my doctor. I've gotten because you can do the nicotine replacement just buying it, but under the care of a doctor who can tell you, because you want to wean it down. You don't want to do nicotine patches for 20 years. At some point, you should be at a point where I don't need it anymore. So once you've set this plan, you set the quit date, you're getting ready to start that journey, and then again, you need to be around people that are going to support you. But I think also when you mentioned, being around them and wanting to smoke, it also depends on where you are in that journey. Because some people are strong enough where it won't affect them as much. They may feel like they want to take a hit off of your cigarette, but I'm at a point where nope, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going back. But then for some people, they're not there yet.
Right.
So for those that aren't there yet, then they're going to have a period of separation until they can be stronger.
You said about talking to your doctor. What about the society that does not have a doctor, that doesn't have Kaiser, doesn't have Blue Cross, that basically if they get sick, they're going to go to a clinic or they're going to go to Highland or whatever? What's for them? How can they quit if they don't have the insurance? And I know the Obamacare is supposed to have it, but everybody don't. To be honest, everybody don't. And a lot of them feel that if I go to the doctor, a lot of people feel if I go to the doctor for anything, I can't afford it. And so how is there something, I know you worked at San Francisco General, I know there's Highland Hospital. Do they have anything for those who have minimum income or that may be on Medi-Cal or Medicare? I don't know if they still have Medicare, but just don't have, you have minimal insurance, we probably don't have very many options.
So I think a lot of the quit lines, because I remember when I was working, there was 1-800-NO-BUTS was what we were.
Say it one more time.
1-800-NO-BUTS. NOBUTTS, no buts. That was an organization that I would refer patients to, and they would give gift cards where they would be able to use if they signed up. So you sign up for the counseling, that person would call you, they'd get you enrolled, and then you'd get a gift card, and then you would be able to kind of purchase those items.
Okay.
There's another one that I was looking at today that is available. So there are options out there. The American Lung Association, the American Cancer Society, all of those they should be able to seek and be able to get some help.
And I don't want to take it as though, well, you're paying all that money for a cigarette, you should be able to pay for the patch. It's not always that way. Is the patch expensive?
I don't know what the patches are running right now, to be perfectly honest.
Well,
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what the patches
Can you
are.
Google it? What do y'all Google it?
I did look up the price of cigarettes though.
So how much is a cigarette now?
So in the United States, the highest price for a pack of cigarettes is in New York, and it's $12 for a pack.
Wait. I remember $3 going to the store.
No.
Wait.
No.
$12?
$12 for a pack of cigarettes in New York. In California, the average cost is about $9.50 for a pack of cigarettes.
So people who are doing 2 packs or 3 packs a day? Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Yeah. I multiplied it a pack a day times 30 days, and I think it came out to somewhere around $200 and something.
You know,
A month.
that's a bucket car note. That's
That's-
you
yeah.
can get a little car. You can get a little car for that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It's a lot to smoke it, and part of that is the tax that's now placed on the cigarettes as well.
Yeah.
So that kind of upped the ante for it as well. I don't even know if Costco sells cigarettes or not. I know sometimes they bring it in from other countries. Like if I go to Mexico, I might get cigarettes and bring it back in. But I think there's a limit to how much cigarettes you can bring into the country.
Did you find it?
56 patches on $99.
So for 56 patches,
So that's almost 2 months.
That's
Because you
about-
change it every day.
so 2 months for $99. I guess that's cheaper.
That's cheaper than the cigarettes.
Yeah, that's cheaper than
That's
the
cheaper
cigarettes.
than the cigarettes. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And so I had looked up some information for you, Pastor. And so this is I would go over this with my patients. So within minutes of smoking of your last cigarette, within 20 minutes after quitting, your heart rate and your blood pressure drops. Even though they think when they smoke that cigarette that it's relaxing them, actually you're increasing your heart rate and your blood pressure goes up. So it's doing the opposite of what you think it's going to do. Within 12 hours after quitting, the carbon monoxide level in your blood drops to normal. Carbon monoxide attaches to the red blood cells, and so when carbon monoxide attaches to the red blood cells, oxygen cannot attach to that red blood cell. Bottom line, what that means is your organs don't get as much oxygen as they would be if you didn't smoke. And if your organs aren't getting as much oxygen, then they're not functioning properly. 2 weeks to 3 months after quitting, your circulation improves and your lung function increases. Your risk of a heart attack starts to decrease. 1 to 9 months after quitting, coughing and shortness of breath decreases. I can tell a smoker's cough at a distance because it's very distinctive. And even people will brush their teeth. I've seen people even here at Providence put a mint in their mouth. I can still smell it. So the coughing and the shortness of breath decreases. 1 year after quitting, your risk of heart disease is cut in half. 2 to 5 years after quitting, your risk of cancer of the mouth, throat, esophagus, and bladder is cut in half. Your stroke risk drops to that of a person who doesn't smoke. Cigarette smoking doesn't just cause lung cancer.
I was going to ask you that because I was studying that for this interview, where it affects a whole lot of stuff in the body.
Yes.
Including a man's manhood.
Yes.
And
yes.
I was like, wow.
And the reason for that is that all of those toxins, when you smoke that cigarette, all of those toxins go into the bloodstream. And where does the blood go?
Yeah, everywhere.
All throughout your body.
Yeah.
So that's why when you think of cancer, it's not just in the lungs. It goes all through your body.
Wow, wow. And so I thought it was just, lung cancer or heart attack.
No.
Until I looked at it yesterday to prepare for this, and when it just shows a diagram of every organ and every aspect of men and women in their body, what it does to them, it's amazing, and it has to be an addiction and not a habit, because just that cough, shortness of breath. Some people may not, do anything. Because I know the late George Burns smoked cigars until he was almost 100 plus. And so I know everyone is different. The question that someone wanted me to ask you is weed better than a cigarette, and is vaping better than a cigarette?
Kind of the long and short answer to that is no. I used to work with a gentleman, and he was very open and honest that when in his younger days he smoked weed like crazy, and guess what? He has COPD. So it's not better. Vaping is not better because vaping also has nicotine, but it also has all these other chemicals. in the liquid that is being heated up. And so you're getting those into the lungs are meant to be sterile. The lungs are not meant to have all this stuff. Even if you inhale a lot of dust, you start coughing because the lungs are meant to be sterile. And so when you're putting all of this into your lungs, then you are putting your lungs at risk. It doesn't mean that everyone that smokes cigarettes is going to get COPD. Doesn't mean that everyone that smokes weed is going to get COPD, but you're putting yourself at risk. And COPD, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. Chronic meaning it's always there. When when medical professionals prescribe medicines for you for COPD, it's not to end it, it's to stall it so that it doesn't get worse. But it's a progressive disease. So it's always there and it's just going to get worse. Obstructed means that your airways are obstructed. So you can get air in, but it's harder to get the air out. So the airways become floppy so that when you try to blow the air out, the airways kind of collapse and that air stays in the lungs. And that's why you'll see people with COPD, they will have what we call hyper inflated lungs. And so they can't take deep breaths because their lungs are already stretched up because there's air in there that they can't get out. And so the airways are obstructed. Pulmonary meaning the lungs, disease meaning that it's not healthy. And so, as I said, it doesn't mean that everyone that smokes weed is going to get it, but you're putting yourself at risk.
Wow. I think that was all my questions. Just a summary. You said so when my members come to me, they want me to pray for them. I'm going to pray for them. I'm going to lay hands on them if that's their desire. I'm going to trust God with them. But you have to make up in your own mind to push this thing and to do this restraint. And so you said the resources, have a group. You can have
you need a support group. Make a plan. Do the nicotine replacement. But even, and I didn't mention this, so even outside of the nicotine replacement, there's also medication that you can take. Bupropion and varenicline. That's two medications that you can take. And the purpose of those medications is that they block that receptor. So it's like someone sticking gum into the lock. So when that key comes, it can't go in. So when you smoke a cigarette, it just doesn't taste the same. So there's also that is available. And then doing the counseling as well. Okay. But before we end, I want to talk a little bit about vaping.
Go ahead.
Because you had asked me about vaping. Oh, wait. One last thing. I wanted to say something about withdrawal. Because it is,
I was supposed to ask
because it is an addiction, you do go through withdrawal. So some of the withdrawal symptoms is having urges or cravings to smoke. Because when you stop smoking, you stop getting that nicotine, the body is going to say, give me more, give me more, give me more. So you're going to have cravings. Feeling irritable, grouchy, and upset. So you got to make plans for that. Feeling jumpy and restless, having a hard time concentrating. That's probably like one of the number one things that I heard, that I feel like I'm in a fog, I can't concentrate. Trouble sleeping, feeling hungrier and gaining weight. And that's another thing that I heard a lot was, I'm going to gain weight if I stop. And so if you start to gain weight, then you just start being a little more active. And one of the things too is that now that you're not smoking, food tastes different. It tastes better. So now you're getting the real taste of food. You feel anxious, sad, or depressed. So in making a plan, you make a plan for all of these areas. What am I going to do if I start to feel grumpy? What am I going to do if I'm having trouble sleeping? And when I worked in the sleep clinic and I saw Dr. Cobbs had done something on sleep hygiene, I would go through, there's patterns and plans that you make, nightly habits, so that you can sleep better. So you have to have a plan for that. So those are some of the withdrawal symptoms. But I'm a participatory. I'm a participatory teacher. So I have two things for you. So this is just a desk with a bunch of stuff on it.
You can see. I can't get it. I didn't have it.
It's a desk with a bunch of stuff on it. And I want you to look at that and tell me which one of those items is a vape pen.
I would say it seems like it's more than one on here, and I could be wrong. But I think that's a vape pen because it looks like.
And that's absolutely correct. And that's the only one that's on there.
Is it?
And what does it look like?
It looks like a
thumb drive.
Yeah.
And that's what they look like now. They look like thumb drives. Yeah. When they first came out, they were big, huge things, but as they have evolved, they make them smaller and smaller and smaller. And this was something, here's another one. This one really blew me away because I was not aware of this. So can you tell me on that one?
Sorry, everybody. I would have, if she would have told me, I would have put this on the screen. I'm looking for a vape pen.
Which one do you think is a vape pen?
I think this blue marker.
Which one?
That one.
You're good. It looks like a highlighter.
Let's see if I can get it to you guys.
It's the blue one and the yellow one that says energy. They make them now to look like highlighters. This was something that was surprising to me when I looked at the demographics of youth.
But this is your high school table.
Yes.
And actually, it could be middle school because I see a glue stick in here.
Yes. Yes. So when I looked up the demographic information for young people that vape, I was blown away because I did not think it would be our children. The largest percentage of young people that are vaping are Black and Latinos. I didn't think that. I didn't think it would be our kids, but it is our kids. And the reason that we should be concerned is because for young people, their brains are still developing and they are more susceptible to nicotine addiction. And so when they become addicted to the nicotine, it's just going to get worse as they get older. Yeah. So just want to final in with this. So it says signs of a person who is vaping. A sweet scent in the air because they're doing flavored. So if a young person and you walk past them and it smells like grape or it smells like strawberries, then that could be a sign. Unfamiliar pins and USB drives, drinking more water, nosebleeds, which was interesting to me, a smoker's cough, new batteries and chargers, and then discarded vaping pods and devices. And so when I began and I said that the African American community has had a long history with the tobacco industry, many people think that when our ancestors were brought to this country, that they were brought to pick cotton, but they were brought to work in the tobacco fields.
Right.
And since that time, the tobacco industry has been targeting communities of color. So that in and of itself should be a reason why we want to quit smoking, in addition to our health, but that they target us specifically to make money off of us through cigarettes.
Now the vaping, because I don't know too much about it. I know a number of people at my job has to go outside, or they'll go in the corner and real quick, and then you see a little white thing smoking, but you can smell that it's a fruity flavor, grape or whatever, and they be like they selling drugs because a person I have them and they go looking for this person to get the vape, the filler or whatever, the cartridge, and I think it's kind of funny, but it's not funny, but so I do understand too that not just nicotine is in there, but aren't they putting
there's various oils and all kind of things, and for a while, what was it? It was while I was working in the clinic. It was some years ago. We were seeing a lot of patients that had what we call popcorn lung. And they called it popcorn lung because one of the oils that was in the mixture that they were using for nicotine was also a chemical that was in the butter that's in the popcorn when we go to the movies.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Wow. I want to thank you, Sister Yu. I think this has been helpful. I don't know the response. We'll see what the response of our membership is, because we did this for PBC, and we're going to send this out through our various text messages to people to encourage it. It wasn't quite. It was about 45 minutes. 45 minutes, and you still have 15 minutes, but if you want to say something.
Well, I just wanted to add that I did order some rack cards, and I appreciate the fact that you are taking on ministering to the whole person, because we have to minister to the whole person. Yes, we want everyone to be saved. We want everyone to accept Jesus as their Lord and Savior, but we also want them to thrive mentally, financially, physically. So I appreciate you taking on this particular area, because we do have members that are struggling with cigarette smoking and with COPD. But I did order the rack cards, and hopefully they'll be here in a while and we can put them out, so that in the rack card, it just gives them information about, so you want to quit, and this is what you need to do.
Thank you. We will put that out and everything. I think that would help. I think the church has to be a place where all of this information is available. Everyone doesn't have a computer. Everyone is not internet savvy, both young and old. We still have, it's still an uneven playing field with technology. Especially I call us being in the bottoms of Richmond. Of the children that live here, everyone doesn't have internet. They can take it home for the summer. For the school year, but then during the summer they don't have it. And so a lot of information, because I know some people say Google is of the devil, and if you what I mean by that, because we self-diagnose ourselves. I got a pain here, I go to Google, and now it's cancer, and I don't go to the doctor. But I think that doctor's visit is important. Googling how to quit is great, but having that support and having a person. I know you said that they have the call-in lines, which is great. But I think that for some of us who are struggling seriously, need that interaction with a person, and what do they call it? They call it a person that basically keeps you in check.
Like an accountability partner.
Accountability partner. Having an accountability partner, it helps. And then to know this, that smoking is not going to put you in hell, but it can give life down here. You can go through hell with your body down here. And so because we all, like I said, have something that is causing us, to be not healthy. That is not. And so we wing ourselves and pray to God that He will break that cycle, and that we'll be able to mature to a place where we don't need cigarettes, or don't need the drink, or don't need that extra piece of cake, or go shopping, to get a place where my mind is in perfect peace as it is stayed on God. But the reality is, with the stress of life, and even now with this election, there are people physically and mentally going through stress. There's some people says, I think you said you're not going to watch. I think you said you're not turning it on.
I'm not. And last night, because I was so stressed out last night, I actually wrote in my journal. And I hadn't written in my journal for a while. But I had to get it out of me and onto paper. And that's one of the ways of relieving that stress.
And I think it's a great thing that Providence is doing, because the new Providence, not a new Providence, but the new model is not just the preaching on Sunday, the good worship, not just the Bible study, not just the prayer meeting, but the workshops and the clinics and the resources that's available for me to be whole. And I think we need to be not just a strong Christian, but just have strong morals, strong values, and our body needs to be strong.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I'm the last one to be talking about health, but I'm trying.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying.
Mm-hmm.
I don't, you know, and so things that I used to indulge in, I'm trying not to do so that I can. But there's strongholds with me. I'm addicted to sweets. I'm addicted to Monster. Monster power drinks. I'm addicted to them.
That's caffeine and sugar.
Yeah,
And
I
caffeine
am.
is addictive also.
And what makes it so good is I like sweet,
Mm-hmm.
and I like the punch. I like the mango, and it is extremely sweet, like the old-fashioned Kool-Aid.
Mm-hmm.
The you know, where you just mainly sugar. You know, can't even taste the flavor. And so
yeah, all we know is the color.
the
Red.
color is red.
Red Kool-Aid. Yeah.
Don't know what flavor it is. It doesn't have a taste. But that's what. And so I have my own stronghold now of 3, 4, 5 monsters a day, and my heart doing this.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to really practice what I preach. So I'm very empathetic, more than sympathetic, because sympathy you ain't gonna do nothing, but empathy puts myself in their place. So I can see how easy it is to get addicted, because I'm trying to stay up, but now I'm drinking them just for the flavor and drinking them because I like it. And so it's that thing where we all have to get to the place to admit that everybody got something.
Right.
And God is working on us, but then we also have to put forth that effort to help God out.
Right.
Right. Because the truth of the matter is God can fix it. And most of the time when he fixes it, and people like to brag about it, but he will have a heart attack. You know what I mean? We're going to the hospital and they say, you can't smoke no more, you're going to die. Then we have an epiphany and we say, oh, I've been delivered. No, you've been scared straight.
Right. You
do it because, if you take another puff, you're in ICU.
Yeah.
And so I think that getting to that place that God doesn't have to put me in the hospital or put me on my deathbed or whoop me to make me stop. It's just something that is not, with all of our strongholds that causes our body, because sometimes we think that if it ain't against God, it's all right. But yeah, anything too much of, and indulgence and the things that we do, because we take it to the extreme, and it becomes a thing that we can't do without. And so I do appreciate this, and we're going to do it again, because I think we're going to bring in a couple people to talk about adoption, and we're going to talk about I want to talk about cancer, and so there's many things I want to talk about. Touchy subjects, incest, because as a pastor I've seen it in the ministry to where I had to make phone calls, I had to act on the behalf of the child, as a pastor, because once you hear about something and once it needs to be investigated. So I want to talk about healing children that's been touched. And I think
because even with that, it could be generational.
Yes.
Because someone that's molested will then become a molester.
Right.
So we want to break those generational curses. Yes.
And so it's going to be interesting. We may not do it every week, but every other week I plan to do something. And so, Sister Knox, thank you for being. She's over on the other side, and hopefully we'll get you in here too with your expertise. But it's open. I want to say to everybody, thank you for viewing us, and it's open to you. Just give me a call if you have expertise in something or you have a topic. You can call 510-234-1162, 510-234-1162, 510-234-1162, extension 12. Give me a call and let me know what you want us to talk about. We'll do our best to get. I'm not an expert, so I'll bring people in who are. To help us out, to give us this information. Let's pray out. God, we thank you for what you have done. We thank you for this gathering and this interview of information to strengthen us and to help us in the body of Christ to be healthy in our mental state, healthy physically, healthy spiritually, and financially. God, we thank you for the resources that you have given to the Providence Church and to the body of Christ. Thank you for those who are experts in their field that is willing to come and talk to us so that we can become better as a church body, as a universal church, and as part of the family. All these things we ask in Jesus' name. Amen. Hey, God
Amen.
bless you, and I love you guys. Thank you.